The cold wind howled through the streets as a man in ragged clothes shuffled toward a small, bustling diner. His unkempt beard and tattered coat made people glance at him with pity or disgust. No one knew that beneath the worn-out appearance was billionaire Charles Whitmore, owner of one of the largest hospitality chains in the country. He had disguised himself as a homeless man, determined to see how people treated those who had nothing. His stomach rumbled as he stepped inside the diner. The warmth hit his face instantly, and the scent of fresh coffee and sizzling bacon filled the air. The place was modest, checkered floors, a long counter, and a few red vinyl booths. Customers barely glanced at him as he hesitated near the entrance. A sharp voice called out, "Sir, you can't just stand there. Are you ordering or what?" It was the manager, a balding man with tired eyes. Charles opened his mouth to speak, but hesitated. He had left his wallet behind on purpose, carrying only a few crumpled dollars. Before he could respond, a waitress rushed over. "Mike, give the guy a second," she said, flashing Charles a warm smile. "Come on in. Take a seat. Coffee's on me." Her name tag read Evelyn. She was young, probably in her late 20s, with kind hazel eyes and a messy ponytail. She guided him to a booth by the window and poured him a steaming cup of coffee. Charles hesitated. I don't have enough to pay." She waved a hand dismissively. "Don't worry about it. Everyone deserves a hot meal." His throat tightened. It had been years since someone had spoken to him with such genuine kindness, without knowing who he was. A few minutes later, Evelyn returned with a plate of scrambled eggs and toast. "Eat up." Charles took a bite, savoring the warmth that spread through his body. "Why are you helping me?" he asked, watching her closely. Evelyn sighed, tucking a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "Because I know what it's like to have nothing." She glanced around to make sure the manager wasn't watching before pulling up a chair. "My mom raised me alone. She worked 3 jobs just to keep us fed. When I was little, we spent a few nights in a shelter when we lost our home. If it weren't for kind strangers, I don't know where we'd be." Charles listened intently, his heart unexpectedly heavy. She leaned in with a smirk. "Besides, if you're secretly a millionaire in disguise, maybe you'll come back and buy me a car or something." He chuckled, but she had no idea how close she was to the truth. Suddenly, the manager stormed over. "Evelyn, stop wasting time. You have tables to serve." She stood up quickly, giving Charles an apologetic look before hurrying away. Charles stayed in the diner for hours, watching Evelyn work. She was always smiling, always kind, even when customers were rude. A single mother came in with 2 kids, struggling to count change for their meal. Evelyn pretended not to notice and discreetly covered the rest of the bill herself. She didn't just work there. She made the diner feel like home. As the evening approached, Charles got up to leave. "Thank you," he said sincerely. Evelyn smiled. "Come back any time." 3 days later, the diner was buzzing with whispers. A sleek black car pulled up outside, and a sharply dressed man stepped out. It was Charles, but this time as himself. He walked in, and the manager's eyes widened in recognition. "Mr. Whitmore," the man stammered. "What an honor to have you here. If we had known—" Charles raised a hand, silencing him. His gaze swept across the diner until he found Evelyn, who stood frozen, holding a coffee pot. He walked up to her and smiled. "Evelyn?" She blinked. "Wait, what?" "I told you I'd come back," he said, amused. "Though I think I owe you more than a car." She looked between him and the stunned manager. "You're Charles Whitmore." "The very same," he confirmed. "And I've decided something." He turned to the manager. "This woman is the heart of your diner. She deserves a raise. No, she deserves much more." The manager nodded so quickly his glasses nearly fell off. Charles turned back to Evelyn. You once said you didn't know where you'd be without kind strangers, but you are that kind stranger for so many people. I want to reward that. Evelyn opened her mouth, but no words came out. I own a chain of hotels and restaurants, Charles continued. How would you like to manage your own place? Full salary, benefits, and enough to ensure your mother never struggles again. Tears welled in Evelyn's eyes. Are you serious? Charles smiled warmly. 100%. The entire diner burst into applause, and for the first time in a long time, Evelyn was the one receiving kindness.